Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be kind of the last video for King Arthur Legends Rise. A lot of stuff to talk about with the beta coming to an end, so let's go ahead and jump into it. But first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. I just wanted to put a quick video together just to go over the beta for King Arthur's Legends Rise that is coming to an end. So we just received word as of April 20th, so here in just a couple days, the beta will end. Now, this is the second beta for King Arthur's Legends Rise. The first beta happened at the end of November 2022 into December, mid to late December, and that was the first one. So a couple things first to talk about. I think there were some really good improvements between the first beta and the second beta. One thing I did notice is that some of the characters changed rarity. Some of the legendaries that were in the first beta were not part of the second beta. And there was one, Aine specifically, she was the only one that was a new legendary that was not in the first beta. So they made some character changes there. I did find out as we got further in the storyline, because in the first beta we could only do 5 chapters of the story. In this beta here we're able to do 10 chapters, and if you pulled out and took a look at the world map, you could see that there was a lot still left to do. So I think the story is going to continue for quite a while. So we got to see a little bit more there, and one thing that opened my eyes up to is some of the legendaries that weren't in the second beta were bosses and characters in the later part of the story that we didn't see in the first 5 chapters. All these characters are part of the story in some way, whether they're bosses or characters that you come across. So some nice changes there. I thought the combat system was exactly the same. There was no change there that I could really tell. The vigor system is still a challenge. The vigor that's that shared resource that you use for your abilities. Now, it's not uncommon to have a shared resource. I've seen shared resources in mini games where each character pulls from that resource in order to launch their abilities. But in this game, it's a little bit of a challenge because you're only really able to use your first and second abilities, or you're skipping quite a bit so you can use that third ability. So there weren't any changes really between the first beta and the second beta as it pertains to vigor. So hopefully we see some improvements as development of this game continues to move on. Now, one thing that I thought was kind of odd, so they didn't tell us anything about progression being saved or anything like that. Typically, when a game goes into beta, one thing that I've noticed is in the very beginning or very shortly after the beta starts, they will let you know if your progression is going to continue into global or not. Because of that, also because, I don't know, the Steam component for me, for the PC client here, that it just made me think that progression was not going to carry over, and that's exactly what ended up happening. So any progression that we made in the second beta is not going to flow through over into global. Now, global for this game is supposed to launch second half of this year, so that's October, November, December, June, July, August, somewhere around there, right? Somewhere in that time frame is when this game is supposed to be launched. That is as of the, what is it? The Q1, 2023 Q1 investor relations presentation that the company gives. They'll go ahead and say, this is what we have up, this is what's coming up, here's where we expect them to land. That doesn't mean that the game is going to be launched necessarily in that time frame. It could get pushed. It could be moved into 2024. Who knows? But right now, that I'm going to call that's a tentative release window, is second half of 2023. So we'll see what kind of improvements we see. I would expect that we're going to see at least, just me, I could be completely off, but I would expect that we would see at least one more beta. If it's going to launch in the second half of 2023, I would expect to see one more beta before global. As far as the progression carrying over at that point, it's hard to say. Again, I think the Steam client, for me, kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in that plan. It is common for most games that are in beta to have your progression carry over, but it's not 100% guaranteed. And even the games that are going to carry progression over to global will say there's always a chance that that's not going to happen. So you never really know until global hits. All right, so something else that I thought was kind of weird too is typically when you spend money in a beta, then they refund that to you in the form of in-game currency, typically. But in this game here, with this second beta coming to an end, they are refunding everybody. They're just giving everybody their money back. That didn't happen in the first beta because, from what I recall, you couldn't purchase anything in there. But the second beta, they're just going to give everybody their money back, which is cool. I have questions around that too because I've not necessarily seen that before. It's usually always come back in the form of in-game currency. The only time I've ever seen a game refund money on everything that you've purchased in a beta period is if the game was going to shut down. I'm not saying this game is going to shut down. I'm just saying that's the only instance that I've seen this in. This game, I think, has a very good base. It's got a very good story, and I think there's a lot that's going to keep us engaged. There's some things that were not part of the beta that is part of the game, or at least sections of the game allude to shadow dungeons and things like that. So, and also, since Expedition was in the beta phase, it makes me think that there's more game modes coming that may be launched in a later beta. Some of these things may even be completely saved for global, but as far as this game goes, I think it's on a good track. We're just now completing the second beta. I expect a third beta to come before global launch at least. And then as far as progression carrying over, that's always a toss-up. Who knows from there? But the team has been great. We've been giving a lot of feedback to the developers on this. So I'm really excited to see what kind of changes and improvements are going to happen between now and the next beta, or when we're going to be able to see that game again. We don't know. We don't know when we're going to be able to come back and play the game, but we are going to have to start over again, which is fine. Because really, when you take a look at it, it was only a few weeks of beta. I think it was was it 4 weeks? It was only a few weeks of beta, really, and a lot of progression was made. I had every single legendary except for maybe 2, and I was completely free to play. So being able to get every character in the game except for a couple legendaries and I think 1 or 2 rares, I think is pretty good for a few weeks of gameplay. So that might actually work against us in as far as drop rates go, but we shall see. But again, still very excited for this game. Can't wait to hear more from the devs on this. Hopefully we see roadmaps and further communication in the official channels. So I will leave a link to the official Discord channel in the description of this video. Also, join my Discord as well, where we're working to build the community up around this game. Also, I've got a lot of details in there, maps and stuff you can take a look at also. And if you want to see some other videos that maybe you haven't seen yet, I'll go ahead and put a link up over here. But you can also check my channel out for all the videos that I've done on this game. And I also did a stream that worked out okay. I'll throw that up on my YouTube channel as well, so people can take a look at that also. All right, everybody, that is what I had for you. Maybe it wasn't as quick as I thought it was going to be, but I'm really excited for this. Bummer that the beta's coming to an end, but maybe that's just going to get us that much closer to the final product. All right, everybody, that is what I had for you. Definitely let me know what you thought. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.